Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me in this video. How many of you have seen this IBB book that is trending? There have been misreaction and a lot of controversies in that book, especially what he wrote concerning the annulment of Abiola's election of June 12th. So a lot of people disagree with him totally about that. But there are a lot of things he wrote in that book. I'm not a fan of IBB, and I can never be one. But there is something I read in the book. By the way, if you don't have the book or you have not, gotten your soft copy of the book, write me on WhatsApp. I'll send the book to you. Okay. I believe the purpose of the book is not to make profit. So the book is just to let people know what transpired in Nigeria and why Nigeria is irredeemable. Okay. If you read IBB's book, you will know Nigeria is irredeemable. Okay. Just try to read the book. Despite their still challenges of what he wrote, people are saying some of the things he wrote is not true. Okay. Now, there is a place I really want us to look into in this video, and that is where he said that before the Civil War, Igbos are not safe in Nigeria. That led to Ojukwu, asking the Igbos not to mingle with everything they are doing in Nigeria, and that led to, after they remove Kevin Nkrumah, the new leader of Ghana, now chooses a neutral ground in Aburi, and the federal government of Nigeria did not publish the Aburi's meeting. They went, but the eastern region, led by Ojukwu then in that meeting, published their own part of the meeting. And, at the end, they did not agree. Ojukwu did not, not Ojukwu, Gowon did not implement the Aburi's accord or Aburi's meeting, the business they transacted there, which led to Ojukwu declaring the state of Biafra because Igbos were not safe in Nigeria any longer. And the Nigerian state were the aggressor. They went into war fighting the Biafrans. So you can see this on page 63. Okay, you can see this on page 63. It started from page 62 down to 63, 64. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to read page 63 for you and we analyze that. Okay, now look at your screen very well. But Gowon went further in a move that turned out to be a political masterstroke. In August, he released the leader of the Yorubas, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, from Calabar prison, where he was serving a prison sentence for treason, and secured in the process the much needed support of the Yorubas at the time. Unfortunately, Gowon's commitments to the Igbos that their lives were safe in northern Nigeria were unfulfilled. Now, so that you will not be lost in the video. Before now, by the way, if I send you the book, you will read it, you will understand more about it. He was talking about the issue of Obafemi Awolowo, who was sentenced to life imprisonment because of treasonable charges, okay, in Calabar prison. And that was the reason why in Zogon, that coup they called Igbo coup, he still wrote it in this book, okay? IBB wrote it in this book, that the coup was never ethnic motivated. By the way, Nzogo, he is not an Igbo man, according to IBB, because he was born and brought up in Kaduna. He speaks Hausa, he don't speak Igbo, okay? So, and the motivation of the coup was to release Yoruba man, the Yoruba leader Obafemi Awolowo. That was what Gowon wrote. And I can't just imagine how someone like Reno Mokere would be very shameful to, the history he wrote on Facebook saying the Igbo coups every day trying to bring ethnic, clashes in Nigeria. Now, to this, let me continue from where I stop, okay? Now, after the Gowon released Obafemi Awolowo, okay? He released it so that he will gain the Yorubas, support to fight the Igbos before he went into the war. Now, he promised Igbos that their life will be safe in northern Nigeria. He was unable to do that. Igbos were being killed. Go and read what happened. Pogrom, that people were being beheaded, put their heads in the train going to the south. Go and read about it, okay? Now, let me continue. So, unfortunately, Gowon's commitments to Igbos that their lives were safe in the northern Nigeria were unfulfilled. Almost simultaneously with the deliberation of the leaders of thought, taking place in Lagos. Perhaps the most horrific killing of Igbos occurred in different parts of northern Nigeria on September 29, 1966. The killing were frightening. Okay, mark the words. A deluge of refugees swamped eastern Nigeria from practically all over Nigeria. So Igbos were returning homes as refuge because they were being killed all over Nigeria. Faced with this intolerable situation, Ojukwu understandably barred the Eastern Nigeria delegation from further attending Gowon's peace and reconciliation talks in Lagos, insisting that the lives of Igbos outside Eastern Nigeria were unsafe. Okay? Now, out of the book, okay? Before, the lives of the Eastern Nigerians are not safe, the lives of Igbos are not safe outside Eastern Nigeria. But today, their lives are not even safe in their homeland. So it's an indication that the worst things has been happening more than the way it was before. Okay, now let me continue with the book. Say the country was locked in a national stalemate until Lieutenant General Joseph Otto Ankara, who had become Ghana's head of state after overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah, stepped in by suggesting a neutral and safe venue for an actual reconciliation conference between Ojukwu and the federal government. That intervention, seen as a last chance to prevent all-out war, led to the famous peace conference in the southern regional town of Ghana, Aburi, between January 4 and 5, 1967. That conference between the Eastern Nigerian delegation led by Lieutenant Colonel Ojukwu and the federal delegation led by Lieutenant Colonel Gowon resulted in the famous Aburi Accord. In the absence of fully published records from the federal government regarding what transpired at Aburi meeting, the details of what happened have remained speculative. Why the published accounts of the Eastern Nigeria delegation insisted that an agreement for a loose Nigerian federation was agreed to. The federal government claimed that the agreement reached was understood and seen within the framework of a united Nigerian state. All right, let me stop here. You now understand what the man, IBB meant. That the lives of Igbos were not safe before the whole issue that led to the war. And after the Aburi Accord, the question I'm asking up to today is that why is it that the federal government of Nigeria, they were unable to publish their own account? Their own, you went for a meeting, you should be able to publish and tell your citizens, this was the business transacted in the meeting. This was the minutes of the meeting. So they didn't bring it out. But Ojukwu with Eastern region published their own and said this was what we transacted. I think if Ojukwu was wrong, the federal government should be able to come out to publish their own. The reason why I'm saying this is that up to today, the lives of Igbos in Nigeria, they are not safe anymore. No matter how many years lies could, fly, one day the truth will always come out to outshine the lies. For over the years, Nigerian government have paid people simultaneously to make sure they paint Igbos like the causes of what they have been through in Nigeria. The likes of them are reno mockery. They write so many things to confuse generations that are coming because history are not being taught in school anymore. But I can tell you categorically clear that the history we know is enough. We know everything that transpired. So, despite people are contending with the lies in the book of IBB, there are still so many parts of the book that you can rely on to understand what really transpired. Igbos were being killed all over the Nigeria before the Civil War. So it wasn't a matter of Civil War. The question now is, why is it that Igbos were being killed all over the country? That will lead you to the issue of hatred. These people are educated. These people are civilized. They go to everywhere. They do business. They dominate. That was the issue that led to the killing of Igbos. And up to now, when we come out to tell you that there is a need for us to divide this country, people will say, no, what did you know? What did you do this? Why? Because someone like IBB gathered them and served them oil blocks. If you talk, they tell you to keep quiet, you don't know anything. Because they have the oil blocks. Because of oil blocks, your people are dying. Your people are no longer safe in their ancestral home. Ojukwu declared the state of Biafra because it is only Biafran land that the Igbos are safe. But now, there is nowhere they are safe. All around the country, including the ancestral home, they are being burned, they are being chased out, they are being killed. Look at what happened in the Ebonyi State recently. So it's insane, and we must come to understanding that Nigeria can never work.
Fascinating. Many of the key figures in this book and who shaped the history of our country are here with us today. And that tells another story all by itself. And that is something truly unique about Nigeria, our ability to move beyond the past, no matter how bitter and no matter how adversarial our past relationships may have been, and to still come together. So seated amongst us here today is General Yakubu Gowon, who became Nigeria's head of state at the age of 32 and led the country for 9 years. His government was overthrown in 1975 by a coup involving the then Brigadier Olusegun Obasanjo and the then Brigadier Theophilus Danjuma, and the author himself, I confirm, the then Lieutenant Colonel Babangida, who was then commander of the newly formed Armored Corps. Also involved in that coup were the then Lieutenant Colonels Muhammadu Buhari, Lieutenant Colonel Sani Bello, who is here also, and Lieutenant Colonel Sani Sami. Yet here we are today with former President Obasanjo, General Danjuma, and of course the author himself present, not as adversaries of the author, but as witnesses to history, celebrating a fellow statesman. In a striking turn of fate, the author notes that it was President Obasanjo who, after the tragic assassination of General Murtala Mohammed, insisted that a young Lieutenant Colonel Babangida be appointed to the Supreme Military Council, making him its youngest member at the time. Also represented here is the immediate past president, Muhammadu Buhari, another leader whose path intertwined with Babangida. It was former President Babangida who played a key role in the coup that brought President Buhari to power in 1983, and later in another coup that removed him and brought Babangida himself into power. Yet today, President Buhari is represented at this occasion, celebrating the man who overthrew him and detained him for 3.5 years, his one-time old adversary, former President Babangida. And then, of course, there's a gentleman here who was an elected senator in 1992 in the course of Babangida's transition program. When Babangida annulled the 1993 election and General Abacha took over and dissolved the Senate, that senator tried to reconstitute the Senate in resistance to the dissolution. He was detained, charged to court. He escaped into exile. Today, he is also here to celebrate with his former tormentors. But as President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The third reason why this 420-page book is important is because it unveils one of the most enigmatic leaders